All right, we'll get going here and say hello to everybody. My name is Jeff Beck. I'm the Director of Admission here at Trinity-Pawling. I'd like to first and foremost thank all of those who are able to join us this evening, and a big congratulations to you all on your acceptance to Trinity-Pawling. And we do appreciate all of the hard work and effort that you've put in to putting together that entire application and making this process, making it through this process rather. It's important for us to recognize that, because we have asked a lot for families to go through, and hopefully you've learned a little bit about yourselves, and we've learned a lot about you all in that process. But I would like to also say that as you go throughout this webinar here, if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat function. We will do our best to address them this evening. We will also be addressing any and many of the questions that were submitted during the sign-in process. But if we don't get to your question today, we will also be emailing folks and calling you to follow up to help answer those questions. So thank you all. Congratulations again. And I'd like to start by introducing the folks that are on the call here. I'll use my screen. So I'll start from my top left. So Mr. Josh Collins, class of 1995, has been here for 23 years now. He's the Dean of Students. He will be able to chat a little bit more about our effort challenge, our day student life, and our daily student experience. I have Mr. Dutch Keel, who's the Dean of our residential life, been here for 13 years. He will be able to talk a little bit more about the dorm experience, our extracurriculars, and some leadership opportunities that students have on campus. We have Mr. Hoffman, who is in his 22nd year, if I have that correct. And he will be able to speak a little bit more about our middle school. And obviously those three have a wealth of knowledge to share as well. And then lastly, I have our head of school, Mr. Bill Taylor, who is joining us this evening to help answer many of our questions. And I will now jump in to allow our students here to introduce themselves. So we'll start with our head prefect, Cristobal Tola. Please hop on and share a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Beck. My name is Cristobal Tola. I'm a class of 2023. I'm from Georgetown, Ontario, small town outside of Toronto. And this is my second year here at Trinity-Pawling.
Great. I'll let you pass it off.
Raphael, you want to go?
Sure, Cristobal. My name is Raphael. I'm from Quebec. I'm in class of 2023. I'm a senior here, and I play hockey here. John Berlandi, you got it.
Thanks, Raph. I'm John Berlandi. I'm in 8th grade. This is my second year, and I'm from Sherman, Connecticut.
We'll pass it over to Ben.
And yeah.
Thanks. I'm Ben Gassino. I'm a senior here. I've been here for 3 years now, and I'm from Yorktown, New York, about 30 minutes down south from Trinity-Pawling.
Great. Ben's a day student representation. We'll go to Emeka here.
Hello, my name is Emeka. I'm a junior here at Trinity-Pawling, and it's my first year here, and I'm from Lagos, Nigeria.
Great. And last but not least, Jalen Green, please hop on.
Hi, I'm Jalen Green. I've been here for 4 years. I'm a senior, and I'm from New Milford, Connecticut.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you very much, boys, for joining us this evening, taking some time out of your day. But I'm going to pass it off now to our head of school, Mr. Taylor, to get things going for the webinar here. So thank you.
Thank you all. And thank you, students, for taking time out of your evening. Thank you to our guests for taking time out of your evening to be here and for your interest in Trinity-Pawling. And we're just happy to have you here. I'm going to ask just a few questions that come, top of mind. But, one of the things that I hear a lot from alumni as they reflect on their time here, whether it's alumni from 5 years ago, as one of our alums was here yesterday and I was chatting with him, or an alumnus from 58 years ago, who I will be speaking with again tomorrow and I had lunch with about a few weeks ago. What they have in common with most alumni with whom I speak is they quickly talk about gee, I don't, it's not a day that goes by that I don't think about Trinity-Pawling. It made such an impact on my life. And you all, you haven't had the opportunity to leave here and start doing other things. You will, especially you seniors, that's coming quickly. But as you sort of reflect on your time here, and especially seniors, as you start to look back when you see graduation coming quickly ahead of you in the windshield, each of you could just take a quick moment to think about, okay, what have you learned here that perhaps is distinctive to being at Trinity-Pawling? That you sort of say, I'm glad I'm here because this happened. Cristobal, let's start off with you.
Yeah, no, I'd say the biggest thing I personally learned here at Trinity-Pawling is definitely the skills it takes to be a leader. I was grateful enough to receive the head prefect award last year and be the head prefect for this upcoming year. And it really challenged me to kind of get out of my comfort zone as a leader. I mean, I've always been a natural leader, but never really been given the title such like head prefect. So it really challenged me to get out of my comfort zone, really showcase that actions speak louder than words, and there's a lot of eyes on you when you have such a title. So I had a lot of support and a lot of guidance throughout this process, but I learned a lot through being the HP here that eyes are on you, and just simply doing the right thing all the time goes a long way. And speaking to the underclassmen helped a lot too, so they don't feel as intimidated as they may be. So yeah, I definitely say my leadership skills grew a lot being here at Trinity.
Great, thank you. Jalen, you've been here with the longest, I think, of anybody. So, what have you learned that you think is, distinctive to you being at Trinity-Pawling?
I'd have to say learning how to deal going through like hard times, especially with COVID. There's a lot of different struggles that we had, like not being able to go into each other's rooms and stuff like that, just normal day-to-day stuff that was normal to everybody on campus we weren't able to do anymore. But I feel like everybody learned how to get around all the obstacles that we had to face during that time. And that's one of the big things I've learned in my 4 years at TP.
Right, so facing adversity and dealing with that, yeah. Ben, you've been here for what, 3 years, right?
Yeah.
And a day student, but I think for most faculty, they wouldn't know you're a day student because you're here all the time. So, you've definitely got a lot out of here. So what's your thought on what is distinctive about what you've learned because you're here?
Well, I definitely learned about like the bonds that you make here are like they're strong, like they're very like precious. Like as soon as I stepped onto campus, with fall of 2020, already made like a bunch of friends like that day, like all became close. Like again with COVID and stuff like that, it was hard, but we still tried though. We did we're outside with masks on, like, and we were all just like, even like now I'm still close with like all the guys. I even text guys that graduated 2 years ago or even last year. I still text them, see how they're doing, but like definitely the bonds here are very strong.
Thank you. Okay, the whole brotherhood aspect. And Emeka, you just joined us in September, but you quickly got involved in things and started a club and started the Black Student Union and got quickly engaged. So what have you learned?
I would say for someone who's new like me, especially coming in as a junior, that this school was like perfect for me. I mean, junior year is the hardest year. Students are challenged to juggle the extracurricular activities, the rigorous academic classes and Saturday testing, on top of applying to college. And like the supportive teachers I've had, like it's been great. So, and also the brotherhood. the fact that this school's it's a bit less than 300 students, so everyone pretty much knows each other. And being here for like my first 2 weeks, I felt like I've already been here for like 5 years. So that's something I really enjoyed, just coming in as a new student. It's not like that in many other places. So that's very precious. The fact that you can make friends quick, and it's a very close, tight-knit community. So yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Raf, what about you? What have you learned that's distinctive because you were here?
For me, I think the worst part was the time management, because I want to get involved in everything, want to be with my friends, want to go everywhere, but I couldn't. We don't have unlimited time. So I had to figure out a way to, get being with my friends in my schedule, doing my homework in my schedule, going to extra help, doing clubs, playing sports. So that's a big thing I learned here. Time management for sure.
Good. And John, your 7th and 8th grade years, what have you learned about yourself because you were been here?
Probably going off of Mecca. I've probably learned how to build bonds with my teachers. Unlike my other school, I've built relationships with them that have really helped. Learning from them and going to extra help is made a big difference in my academics here, and I'm really grateful for that. So
Great. So, the next question, just, a couple of you jump in, and a couple of you mentioned time management. I think what you all have in common is what you have in common with most of your brothers here at Trinity-Pawling is you get involved in a lot of things, and because there are so many things to get involved with, and there's, they're all the buddies you have and hanging out in the dorm rooms and spending time. That's valuable time. You got a lot of work. You got schoolwork. I mean, that is sort of why we exist, is schoolwork. You got sports. You got clubs. How do you fit it all in? I mean, it's a busy day, and how do you fit it in?
I'll start off with that. I just talked about it, but I'm playing three varsity sports, so I got to get 2 hours of my day that I'm just doing sports. Then I got to eat, so I got to find a way to get to eat for that. And my main sport is hockey, so I'm working out every day for hockey. I got to get that going too. The best thing is to do a schedule. So in my room, I have a piece of paper every day, calendar. I don't want to say piece of paper, but you put everything in. So first thing first, varsity sport. After that, you go eat. After that, you go work out. You might have time to go on the ice, get a couple drills in, and then use your time, your study hours, to actually do your work. That's the main thing. Every time study hours, I'm going to the library and I'm doing my work. Then hang out with my friends at 9:30 after, going to the cave, maybe play a little pool with the fellas, and that's how I manage my time. Yeah.
A couple of you mentioned sort of the relationships you have with your teachers, and that's a big part of boarding school, is a big part of Trinity-Pawling. How, because you get to know your teachers in such a multi-dimensional way, you see them in the dining hall, they may be coaching you, you see them with their kids, you may be babysitting their kids, you know, they're driving you to this and all that, and they're teaching you in class. How does that impact you as a student in their class? The fact that you have that deep relationship with them, how does that make you a student? Emeka?
I'd say that what you just said, I can relate perfectly with my math teacher, Mr. Lee. I've sat down with him in the dining hall, and he's explained like homework with me in the dining hall. I go to his apartment sometimes. I go to his dorm, and I sit in the common room with him. And the fact that I see him a lot, I'm very familiar with him in class. He's he jokes with the boys and all that. So he's very approachable. And I can say the same thing about most of my teachers. And this makes it very easy to ask for extra help. I feel like in a lot of schools, it's not easy to ask for extra help from your teachers. But here, like all the teachers are open to seeing you after hours, or, at different times are available throughout the day, and that really helps because I feel like my first 2 weeks, I struggled with asking for help at first because I was kind of used to a system where students were a bit more independent. But after coming to school and seeing that, in this school, they don't really judge you for asking for help, especially the teachers, they're always open, they're always available. That really motivated me, and my grades started improving after that. So something I'm very grateful for.
Ben,
Yeah, to build off what Mecca said, but if you ever need like help, anything at all, like even if you don't have that much time, like say you have sports and then you have to go eat and then you don't have time to like get any studying in there, you can always email your teachers, like any of them, they get back to you within 20 minutes and they'll either give you extra time. They'll they ask you to come to their dorm or like their dorm room, and they'll even sit down and help you out with your homework, or again, if you need any extra time, anything at all, they always help you out with that.
there are a fair amount of all boys schools that are day schools, but there are very few all boys boarding schools. And so, first of all, there are very few people who go to a boarding school like this. You represent like 1/2 of 1% of the high school population who goes to a boarding school. But then if you're at an all boys boarding school, it's like a tiny percentage of that. So when you're at home or you're hanging out with friends who go somewhere else and they sort of say, God, why would you go to an all boys boarding school? How do you answer that question? Raph, I know you get asked that question.
I do get that question a lot. I would say, and I think it's much better. I've done both, and it's much better to have only boys. I think you just feel much more comfortable. You always hang out with the boys, and when you go work out, it's always like I always go work out with someone. I always do something with someone, and I'm way more comfortable than if there was girls, And I feel like some boys here feel the same about that. I think it's just a better environment. Nothing against girls, of course, but I think it's just a better environment. Just a bunch of boys together. It creates stronger bonds between the boys, and that's what I answer them.
Christopher, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I'll go feed off of what Raph was talking about, but a lot of what he's saying is true. Like the comfortability you have here, especially with like school being like less than 300 boys here, and the fact that they're all boys too helps a lot in the classroom. You don't have that like intimidation factor or that kind of embarrassment of like being wrong in a classroom because there's a girl in the corner you like, or you're trying to impress a girl. It's like it's all your friends and your boys in the classroom. So that whole aspect of that kind of gets thrown out the window, and you see a lot more guys in the room participating, asking questions, reaching out for help, and because you don't really have that fear of trying to impress the girl you may like in the classroom. So and like Raph was saying, like you're always around the boys, and you build the, like we always say here, the brotherhood here. Like you build those bonds that just don't break, and you become so close with the guys here, and you're always around them, you're always doing stuff with them, that you don't really even think about the fact that there's no girls here. It's kind of just so natural and so really perfect for all the guys here, because we just depend on each other, and it's really easy.
Rebecca?
Like coming to an all boys school, this is not what I expected at all. Like you think they're gonna go crazy that no girls, this, that, but it's not like that at all. Like it's like what they said, like you're in class and it's like you're with the boys all the time, and like you're hanging with your boys all the time, even when you're in class. Like even the teachers here, the male teachers and the female teachers, like they know how to teach boys. And it's like you go to class and I ask the dumbest questions I could never ask in front of girls, and I just Like I just ask the dumbest questions without any hesitation because I know it's just me and the boys, and you know we're all learning together. We all have goals that we're trying to accomplish, whether it's grades, whether it's sports, and everyone is just everyone's just supporting each other, and it's just like this, and it makes it even better that it's just like 200 to 300 kids. Like if it was maybe 500, 600, it may be a tiny bit different, but the fact that it's just a small community and it's just your boys, it's like 24/7. You're focused on your goals and you're just having a great time. You don't even think about women at all. So it's great. It's great. It's not what I expected. So yeah.
Ellen, you had your hand up.
Yeah, Mecca covered it, but to add on to it, pretty much it's just like having all boys. It adds a level of focus, I'd say, not only in academic but also in sports aspect, because like everybody's here for a similar goal. Like your boys who live in the dorm with you are gonna try and get you down to lift or go work at your sport, or they'll be there if you need them to help you with homework or anything that you need. And not everybody at a public school or a co-ed school would feel as comfortable going to ask anybody around them just for help on anything or just to go down and lift. I feel like it's not as common as you'd see in an all-boys school.
Right. A couple of you talked about the fact that, where you all talked about the strength of the community. And, Emeka, you mentioned, if it were a bigger school, maybe it would feel a little bit different. One of the things that we're able to do because we're this size is, as you well know, is, we come together either in a Monday morning meeting or in chapel. We do that 4 days a week, 4 lunches a week. We're there as one big community. How do you think the school would be different if we did not do those things? Jalen?
I feel like I wouldn't know nearly as many kids' faces and names as I do now, because at Monday morning meeting and family style lunches, you really meet and see a bunch of faces who, like, you get to the point where you could recognize almost everybody on campus. Like, I think about 95% of the kids on this campus I'm either good friends with or acquaintances with, and I've had a class with them. So I feel like those are the things that's really gotten me to reach out and get to know all these different kids.
Ref, go ahead.
Yes, I got something. It's just there's not really like certain group of people that are hanging out. I feel like just the whole school is hanging out together. Like when I walk at the Dan building and like I'm just walking, I'm way before class sometimes. I'm just talking to someone else. Hey, how's your day been? And just, oh, when we want to work out, and just start talking with everyone. And I look at the time like, oh, I'm almost late for class and I got to go. So I'm running. But normally it's like that every day. And I love that. I love conversations we have. I love the relationships I've built. And I think tighter community, 200 to 300 students help a lot, definitely.
Emeka.
I can definitely add to that. Like the whole school meetings, yeah, it makes the community much tighter. And there's something I see here that I've never seen before. And it's like people like with extremely like wide age gaps are like friends with each other. Like there's some middle school kids who are like best friends with some seniors here. And that's basically just the type of community we have. Like I go into the damn building and I see like the middle schoolers like dapping up like seniors. I go to the weight room, I see the middle schoolers like working out, juniors and seniors. So it's great. Everyone's just friends with each other regardless of age. And yeah, that's just the type of community that we have, and the meetings definitely help with that. So
John.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this has been a great environment to improve friendships, whether it's in the dorm or in the classroom or out the field. Like I said, I'm great friends with Raph and Tola and Jalen. It's because I spend time with them in class and in the field. So yeah, I think because of the small knit community, I've been able to build relationships like that, which another school I would probably never be friends with seniors or juniors like I am.
Great answers, guys. And you think about sort of community, you think about in a boarding school, you think about residential life. So Mr. Keel, I'm gonna throw it over to you and you can ask these guys a little bit about dorm life.
Yeah, I so Emeka, Jalen, Cristobal, Raphael have all boarded. Ben has spent his fair share of nights in the dorms. So, what is it like after classes? Because that's kind of like a unique thing about a boarding school. Like classes end, you go to sports, you go to dinner, and then you're still with your friends. You guys want to talk a little bit about what it's like after study hall? Yeah, Cristobal, go ahead.
I'll take that. I mean, the biggest analogy I always hear is that it's like a big slumber party. And it's honestly true because, after study hall, you get your academics done, you get them out of the way, but you still have so much time afterwards, and you're living with all boys and they're all probably your closest friends. And the relationships you build in the dorms are very special because those are the people you actually end up seeing the most out of everyone at the school because you're living with them. So, every single night there's always one or two rooms where everyone like kind of hangs out and either playing video games or watching movies or just hanging out. So those are like the memories you remember, the late night talks or the wrestling that goes on, like you name it, it happens in the dorms. But it's a special place that everyone loves, and it's definitely unique, and we all definitely take it to heart.
Yeah, Raphael.
I'll say something too. I think so. As I said, I'm doing 3 sports. So for me, it's 2 hours every day of sports. Then I'm eating. Then I'm working out for hockey, as I said, and then study hall. But after study hall, or even during study hall, because most of the time I'm in the library with someone working on a project or working on a homework. I'm just going to play at the cave, little pool, going to watch a hockey game in my friend's dorm. There's always people to hang out with, working out with people, playing sports with people. We're always in friendship. So one thing I say to my friends is that back at home, you take your car, you got 15 minutes to go see your friend, and then you got to come back home. Here, you have a 10-second walk, knock on the door, and you're right there, So that's really awesome. It helps a lot for friendships.
Yeah, Mecca.
Okay, so picture the scenario, right? It's 7 o'clock. You have a ton of homework. You finish your homework like at 8 o'clock. Study hall's over. Then you walk over to your friend's room. Like 5 of your other closest friends are there. You're all hanging out. You're just chilling. Then you're like, you guys get hungry. You want to drink something, so you just go downstairs to the cave, or just take like a 5-minute or 2-minute walk to the cave from wherever your dorm is, and then you play some pool. You get some pizza. You get some nice wings. Then you go back to your you go back to your dorm. There's a big boxing match going on. Everyone's like, maybe like 10 of you guys go to one of your friends' room, and he has like this big screen, and watching the boxing match, or eating your wings, drinking your Gatorade, whatever. Like that's just like my experience here almost every week. Like it's literally like one big, like what he said, one big slumber party where it's fun, and you're just with the boys all day. And that's just something that I think you should really, you're really gonna look forward to coming here.
Thank you, Emeka, for clarifying that the boxing match was on television.
I was going to thank him for that too. I was like, oh boy. Ben, you have your hand up, and I'm glad, because I was going to ask you, like, what's it like as a day student, as far as like being in the community and being welcomed into our community?
Well, yeah, I mean, day students, it has like pros and cons and stuff like that. You can always have a home cooked meal, but like I say, like a big con, and I kind of do. Like I miss like being with the guys, you know, at night, everyone's talking, everyone's hanging out. So like most of the times, like sometimes like I'll see it my phone, like I'm hanging out in one of my buddy's rooms and I look at my phone, I was like, oh Jesus, it's 7:30 at night. I don't really feel like driving. I'll email Mr. Keel and ask him like, hey, can I stay? And it's usually, you know, most of the time it's because of weather the next day, but sometimes it is because I want to stay and hang out with the guys. You know, it's just great. Like we're all hanging out like in one room, we're all talking. But no, but being a day student really doesn't have, you're not really like excluded from the community. You're not at all. As long as you apply yourself to the community, like you're going out, you wanting to be in the community, like everyone like you all hang out together, basically is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. And what about more organized things? So what about clubs? I see some of you guys are big club folks who I know are highly active in clubs. What is that like for you guys? Yeah, John Berlanti, you had your hand up first. I know you
John
want
B,
to go,
you can
Raphael,
first.
but let
Go
John
first,
go.
John B.
So clubs are normally either after dinner, whatever. You apply for clubs at the beginning of the year. For example, I'm in Relay for Life, dog walking club, the Key Club, which gives tours. But it's just a great chance to help out the community and be a part of the community. And I really enjoy that. Also, it's a great way to meet people. So the chess club with Rap, a great time there. Yeah, clubs, I love clubs. It's a great place to have fun.
Absolutely. Raph, I know you were ready to go too. And then
I was
Emeka.
ready to go. I was ready to go. As John was saying, I think like chess club, I love playing chess, and it's a great way to meet new people. So I've been playing chess since I don't know, since I'm young, and now I'm in a club with a bunch of my friends, just playing some chess matches. I have futsal club also that I'm doing. It's just we're playing futsal, which is awesome. We have 30 for 30 club, just learning with a bunch of my friends and watching documentaries. So I think it's just a great way to create good bonds again and to learn some stuff like chess or documentaries. So I think it's a great way to to learn and make friends.
What about you, Emeka?
I'd say one thing I really like about Trinity-Pawling is how easy it is to start a club. You literally just you write Mr. Kill, the name of your club, what you plan to do with the club, and yeah, I started 2 clubs this year, and I like how there's this like club dinner at the beginning of the year where you can go and sign up for clubs, different tables as you're eating. You get to like talk about it with your friends, and there's some really popular clubs. There's some really cool clubs like the cooking clubs. Like everyone joined that. The food is great. So yeah, there's so many fun, different clubs here that you want to get involved in.
And not only that, but Emeka, I'm so glad that you started the clubs you did. You've actually like made our community better by putting yourself out there and starting it. I'm glad I made the barrier to starting it very low, because I think that you've put some stuff out there that's really, really helpful to folks. And a lot of folks have learned from the efforts you put in. So there you go. That's my public thank you, Emeka. And then I just had one more thing. Is that all right, Mr. Taylor, if I ask
Sure.
one more? Oh yeah. So some of you guys are student leaders, like we have some Dean's Advisory Council, some prefects, a lot of proctors. What is it like taking on leadership? What is it? I mean, are there plenty of opportunities? I have an opinion on that, but what has it been like being a student leader? And how is that going to help you on your next steps? Yeah, Jalen.
Well, as a dorm proctor, I'd say it's really good. It's really good experience to show you like how you have to be a leadership role for not only kids your age, but kids older and younger than you. Like as a 17-year-old senior here, there's PGs who are 19, 20 even. And then there's also kids who are younger than me, 16 in my grade. And it just you have to learn how to communicate and get along with all those different age groups. And I feel like it's just a good experience that I was able to get coming here. And then on top of that, being in Dean's Advisory Council, I would check in the freshmen at chapel checking, and just being a role model for them there has even been an experience for me.
I'd say a lot of things that Jalen said was true and applies to everyone. And one of the biggest leadership positions I think school offers is being the prefects. Like me and Raf were named prefects last year, and being a prefect is an important role. You got a lot of responsibilities, but you learn a lot about being a leader and learn about how when you have everyone's eyes on you, that like I said earlier, like doing the right thing, it goes a long way. And you also learn that like you're a role model to a lot of the underclassmen, and they look up to you, and like the smallest gestures you do to them goes a long way. And you also learn how to like kind of like stand your ground and like hold people accountable, whether they're older, the same age, or even younger. And sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes you're the one who has to come out as the bad guy, but everyone here knows that you're doing it out of respect and care for the other person, and you're not trying to be, like a tattletale or something like that. You're just trying to hold them accountable, and it's tough, but it's a life lesson that I think you're always going to learn, and you're going to take with you from here on out. So there's a lot of leadership opportunities here, and I feel like it's very important to try and get one of those.
I have something to say too. I think one of the things is being able to talk in front of everyone, like a webinar. I don't think I would have done that before Trinity-Pawling. That's something I definitely learned by a leadership role. And even just being a student here, you can do chapel talks, which is a talk in front of everyone, which I did as a prefect. You had to do one, and I truly enjoyed it. I would never have the guts to do it before being a prefect and before coming here. And now I went there, and it was really easy to speak in front of everyone. And I think that's a huge part of being a leader here.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
You guys talked about, the whole residential life and, Ben hanging out in the dorm and wanting to stay there. I got to tell you that, whenever I'm at an alumni event, and some of you have been to these, I was just at one 10 days ago, and there were groups of alumni who did not know each other at all. They missed each other by 10, 15, 20 years. But they sat and talked like they were in the same dorm room when they were 17 or 18 years old, because they had the school in common, and they had common experiences. And one of those common experiences has been sort of the way that the school values effort. And they always ask, are you still focusing on effort? So Mr. Collins, you sort of oversee the effort challenge. So you want to, sort of ask the guys things about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just a little overview on our effort challenge, which is fairly unique to Trinity-Pawling. Every school that I'm familiar with, they rank their students on, they get the highest grade is the #1 student in the class. And for us, that's not necessarily true, as we take more of a holistic view on effort. We look at their effort in the classroom, citizenship, athletics, their involvement in clubs. We want the boys to work hard everywhere, and I would love to hear from the boys. They've done a great job tonight. How does the effort challenge? How does that affect you guys? How do you think about it, and how has it changed you in the Trinity and previous experience? First of all,
Jalen.
I'll say it's made me more attentive of when I've been focusing or not in a class. For example, like it gives me the feedback that I need from a teacher to know whether they think I'm giving the most effort that I can in each of my classes and my sports and all of my clubs. And prior to me being here in middle school, I would sometimes fail to get in my homework or something, or stuff along those lines. And being here, the effort grade system has, I feel like, kept me on top of that, and it giving me more, being in a better effort grade, giving me more leeway to do the things that I want to do. It's like an incentive to work harder in your classes.
Yeah, and going off of Jalen, it's also like something that holds you accountable. Because like you can't really blame anyone but yourself for the effort grade you get. And they get posted every 3 weeks and on the board down in the Clute hallway. So like everyone kind of sees it, and it's kind of embarrassing if all your friends are in group 1 or in group 2 and you're sitting at group 4 and group 5 and you have all these restrictions and like you want to go out and take a weekend leave and yet you can't because you're not doing what you need to be doing in the classroom, or you're being late to chapel. So it holds you accountable, and it's honestly a life skill that that a lot of us are going to be realizing after when we graduate from Trinity-Pawling. But making yourself, putting in the best effort everywhere you go and holding yourself accountable is something that you're going to need throughout life. Simply being late here at chapel or Monday morning meeting, you get like a deduction in the effort mark. But in real life, you're late for a meeting, it doesn't look good on you. So it prepares you for real life events, and it does hold everyone accountable.
Emeka.
I feel like it also helps with the vibe of a classroom. Like if you go to other schools where there's no effort grade, people are in class on their phones, people some classes are just so quiet and everyone's just sleeping, everyone's just bored, and people are in the back, crumpling up pieces of paper and like throwing it around. But I feel like here, because there is an effort grade and everyone's motivated to be in group 1 because of the rewards and because of the lack of restrictions from being in group 1, you go to classes, people are paying attention, people are participating, it's vibrant, everyone's learning, everyone's so I feel like that's a very, very that's a very positive thing about the effort grade.
Raph.
Yeah, for me, I think trying to have a good effort grade helps me a lot with my actual grade, because when I'm trying to have a good effort grade, I'm listening in class, I'm being on time, I'm doing good stuff, and it helps me actually have good grades because I'm actually listening and I'm paying attention to the class instead of just talking to someone or doing something else. So I think it's really good for that also. Yeah.
I can tell you just, working with alumni, there are, many alumni who has, leaders in wherever they are in any kind of business. Some of them own their own business. They have put their own effort challenge into their business. I was talking to one alumnus who has, a weekly meeting every Monday with his team, and he works with a lot of, he's probably in his 40s or 50s. So he works with a lot of people who are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and different generations have a different sense of time. And for some people, a 9 o'clock meeting may mean it starts at 9:20. But because he went to Trinity-Pawling, what do you guys know? If you're on time, what are you?
Early.
You're late. And so when he has a 9 o'clock meeting, if people come in after, people try to, the door is shut and they missed the meeting, and he basically is giving them a poor effort grade. And so this does translate into life, because effort does link with achievement. Mr. Collins, you sort of keep an eye on things on Saturday, so why don't you sort of ask the guys about some of our Saturday options?
Absolutely. And, obviously with a few boys who live a fair distance away, you may not be thinking weekends a lot. So you're spending a lot of Saturday nights here and Sundays. What are some of the weekend things that happen, on a Saturday night or Sunday afternoon?
Jalen?
Well, there are things such as like trips to the mall or a trip to a baseball bat, any sports game. They'll try and just get anything that you can do other than just sit in your rooms all day, have something fun for the boys, all the boys to do who are stuck on campus and can't go home every weekend. So they just try to find anything even in the area, go out to eat somewhere close. There's always the town, you could walk down to the town, get some pizza with your friends. And there's stores in town you could stop at. So there's just they always give you an option of something to do every weekend.
Emeka?
So there's one thing that Trinity-Pawling has that I guarantee you 99% of other schools don't have. And that is a train that literally takes you directly into the heart of New York City in Manhattan. Like literally is a 10-minute walk down to the train station and you take it to Manhattan. There's like 1,000 things to do. And every weekend, the staff here, they come up with interesting things for the students, whether it's going to museum, whether exploring the city, just several different things. So if you don't live in New York and you want to explore it, so Trinity-Pawling, we offer many different fun activities for you to do that during the weekend. And like they said, the mall runs, and we also have basketball games, college basketball games, and every time that there's a college basketball game, just trust me, you get like the best seats because of some certain connections that we have here on campus. So that's something that you would really be looking forward to.
Right. Mr. Hoffman, you've been here for 22, 23 years, and many of those years teaching in the upper school. When I talk to alums, they often will say, oh, Mr. Hoffman was my best teacher in my junior year, my senior year. Now you're leading the middle school. Tell me about as a educator with this much experience, what do you love about being in the middle school? And then get John to sort of chime in on his experience.
Can you guys hear me? First of all, I want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, having taught in my career 6th through 12th grade, I started as a middle school teacher. Then I came from middle and upper school at a school in New York City, and then came to TP and did middle and upper school. I love teaching high school, but I think my true wheelhouse is probably middle school. I really have a good time working with the younger guys. We're fortunate here with Trinity-Pawling is that we have small numbers in the middle school, as we do in just about everything we do here. So it affords me the opportunity to work with the younger guys and get to know them all individually pretty well. I've known John since he was much younger than when he attended here from family connections, but I get to know all the boys in the middle school better than probably they would get in any educational experience anywhere. So you get that at Trinity-Pawling anyway, but certainly the middle school is a microcosm of what you would get in the upper schools, simply because we're so small at this point. I don't know if that answers the question, but
yeah. And John,
go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
I wanted to add, I spent 13 years at an all-boys school that is not this one. And I've been here, I think someone mentioned, for 22 years, and kids always ask me, like, what do you think? Because my school comes and plays Trinity-Pawling, and the kids actually ask me who I'm rooting for. And I say, well, my school now is Trinity-Pawling, even though that's my alma mater, because, if you were going to cut me open now, it would be blue and gold. But the lessons I learned from spending 13 years in an all-boys school from K through 12, I think helped formulate my ability to understand what, these boys are experiencing here. The only difference being, of course, that it was not boarding for me. I grew up in a divorced household, and I spent most of my time with my grandparents. And I always tell the boys here, I would have given, a limb to be able to live in a dorm with, 14 or 15 other kids my age, have a family that was taking care of me, because, when I got home from school, it was just me back when I was a kid. And so I look at what these guys have here, and the brotherhood, it sounds like something that somebody could have made up, but the boys made that up themselves because that's what they have. And I know it's a deadly sin, but I envy the boys here for what they have in the dorms and in their life here.
John, you've talked a lot about the relationships that you've had with some of the older guys, and you've sure gotten to know them in clubs and sports and all that. But talk about the relationships you have with the boys in the middle school and how that is distinctive.
Yeah, so like Mr. Hoffman said, the middle school is quite small, which means smaller classes, and that gives a great opportunity to hang out with your middle school friends, and it also allows for more direct teaching. I've been in smaller and bigger classes at TP, and probably my middle school classes are the ones that I learn the most. I would say that.
Great. One of the things that we didn't talk about, and I'm just going to throw it out briefly because I know Mr. Beck has got some other questions, but one of the things that if you're looking at Trinity-Pawling and you are not in a boarding school, you undoubtedly thinking, okay, boarding schools, you go to classes on Saturday, and we don't go to traditional classes on Saturday, but if you're other boarding schools do that. So we have different, we believe that it's important to get you out of the classroom and still learning, but not learning in a traditional classroom. So a couple of you speak to what you like about sort of the Saturday Institute programming and the Institute experience. Ben?
So we have these things called institutes, which is basically it's broken into 4 different groups. But one thing I really like about it, just brings the entire community together as one, and everyone's just like working on a project together, which is like it's helping kids focus more because they're not in the classroom on like a Saturday. They'd rather be like outside working on their hands, like talking to each other, hanging out too. So just everyone in one community, just hanging out and just having fun, like doing a project.
Sorry, building off of what Ben was saying, like one of the biggest things about the Saturday programming is the fact that we're not like stuck in a classroom. And even if we are take a classroom to discuss, it's usually like a discussion or a project, or you got a goal in mind to do, and it kind of takes the aspect of being in a classroom away and kind of doing more hands-on work, learning. And so we have 4 institutes. We have citizenship, leadership, entrepreneurship, and environmental. So it kind of touches on a lot of real life things too. So every Saturday, one of the programs, or 2 of them, will come up with something to do, and for the entire school, and we'll get split up. And one of the cool things is that you get split up among all different ages. Like as a senior, you won't be strictly only with seniors. Like you'll have a project with freshmen, even possibly middle schoolers, and sophomores and juniors. Like it doesn't really matter. And it takes you away from the classroom, and really you also notice, like witnessing it, like you notice kids get out of their comfort zone and kind of lead the group too. Like typically kids you wouldn't find to be a leader in the group would end up kind of stepping up and taking that role, because it's a mismatch of everyone in the school. So people get out of their comfort zone, they learn new things in a different way, and it's unique. It's definitely unique here for Trinity-Pawling.
Beck, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, so I was going to say, to continue on that, one of the questions that we had previously submitted, as well as during the event tonight, is can any of you elaborate a little bit more and be more specific on some of those projects, whether it's your senior project or any of your global collaborative challenges that you've done? Feel free to elaborate on some of those, or even what you've worked on the during the institutes.
I can touch on a quick institute one that always sticks out to me. I'm in the Citizen Institute, and one of the ones that me and actually Ryan Dresser, who's another senior, took on charge was we talked about poverty, global poverty throughout the world, and kind of how grateful we are here and what we're given here, first of all. And we had a simulation through the computers we have here that would run by like real life scenarios of choices you would actually have to make if you were in poverty, and the difficult decisions it is, and how difficult it is to be in poverty. And these were like real like tough questions. Like, for an example, it was like your grandfather's funeral was across the country, and it's $100 to buy a ticket, and you only have 150 in your bank. Like, do you make that sacrifice to go, or can you not go? So the kids really enjoyed it, and they actually learned a lot about how difficult it is to be in those types of situations, and how expensive things really are in the real world. And like a simple like project like that, being instead of being stuck in a classroom, writing an essay, we did like this simulation, and I think a lot of the kids learned a lot of valuable lessons.
Raph,
Jay, let me jump in there. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, one of them that stick out to me is when we played capture the flag. It seems a little childish, but it was so fun to see the people, as Cristobal would say, that are not necessarily leaders, and I never like really heard them talk, and just be like, oh my god, we should do this as a strategy to go capture the flag, and see them talk. It was incredible to see them. It was so much fun to play as a group and actually do the strategy. Also creates bounding, and it creates a leader in everyone. So that was really one that stuck out to me. Yeah.
Thank you.
Galen. Yeah.
I just wanted to touch on the fact that the institutes are led by seniors. So the ideas for the projects are brought upon by the senior class in each of their different groups that they're in. There's a citizenship, environmental, leadership, and I'm blanking on the last one.
Entrepreneurial.
There we go, entrepreneurship. But their senior class was chosen to be in each different group, and you'll work with that group to brainstorm for ideas and different rules for a game or a project for the other students to work on, and then you'll go and help and lead those students through that project on the weekend.
Right on. Great. Thank you very much. This is I don't know if I could have written this question better that was submitted here, but any advice for a prospective student to prepare them for the boarding environment, or anything they can do over the next few months or the summer before arriving to Trinity-Pawling? Great question.
I can actually take that one. I think like a really simple thing that honestly helped me before even coming to Trinity-Pawling was I had a mentor who reached out to me, and like it might be a little like nerve-wracking and a little like embarrassing to like reach out and ask questions, but I had one of the Pelletiers who was a senior last year, and I reached out to him and asked like some basic questions about like how the life was here and what kind of stuff I would need. And he actually helped me out a lot. One of my biggest concerns was actually clothing, what would be acceptable here to wear, because I really had no idea. And he actually helped me out a lot. And I actually ended up sending him photos of like jackets and hoodies and what would be allowed and what not. And he would tell me like, yeah, I buy this, or no, you probably wouldn't be able to wear that. So I'd say just reaching out to either the mentor that will reach out to you, or feel free to ask any of the panelists here for their contacts. I mean, everyone here was more than happy to help. So, and everyone at the school is more than happy to help you prepare for what to expect here.
Go for it, Raph.
That's not necessarily like during the summer and everything, but once you come here at a boarding school, but most especially at Trinity-Pawling, just be yourself. Don't try to be someone else. Be yourself. Don't be shy. Might be hard at first, but please don't be shy when you come. People are gonna be more than happy to welcome you here. And that's how you create friendships easier also. Of course, you're gonna create friendships at some point, but please don't be shy when you come, please.
Thank you. Great. And this is another good question. And this is more directed to myself and probably Mr. Keel here, but how do we go about matching roommates? So for the first year for that matching, the admissions folks are the ones that likely know you best, as we're the ones that have gotten to know you and interview, read your application. But I'll pass this to Mr. Keel and he can talk a little bit about that process of matching roommates.
Yeah, no, it's very collaborative with the folks in admissions. So at a couple times throughout the summer, we'll sit down and just bring up all of the new students. And there are some returning students who are like, I'd love to live with a new student, and here's kind of the new student that I think I would live well with. And, you know, trying to match personalities, trying to match interests, not necessarily just saying, okay, well, these two folks play the same sport. That would be a great match because that might be the only thing that they have in common. And so we spend a lot of time trying to think about the individual, find an appropriate student who we think they would live very, very well together with. And then it usually is very good. Looking at the folks who happen to be on this who are boarders, I think most of them had pretty good first year living situation. So I'm going to pat myself a little bit on the back on that one. And Mr. Beck, you can take a couple pats on your back too. But, you know, then a lot of it is learning to live with other folks. And I think it's one of the big things that I wish I had when I went to college, because the first time I lived with someone who wasn't a relative was when I went to college, and I was like, I don't know how to do this very well. So there's a lot of support networks with dorm parents and advisors and dorm proctors who can kind of help navigate those challenges that inevitably come with like living with another student. But we do put a lot of thought into making sure that the two folks have some interest, have something in common, have you know, reasons why we think they would be good roommates.
We will send out to those students that enroll a roommate questionnaire as well, that we use in that process. So you'll have an opportunity to share some of your thoughts and messy, neat, early to bed, late to bed, early riser, those types of questions that help us. But it looked like Mr. Tola there wanted to jump in and share something about this.
Yeah, no, actually, it's more of a thank you for Mr. Keel, but for my experience, my first year last year. But as much as like you were, Mr. Keel was saying about how you try and base it off of interests and whatnot, my first roommate last year, we actually couldn't have been more opposite, and that was actually so good for both of us. And like Mr. Keel and Mr. Beck, I thank you for that because he's one of my greatest friends now. But like my first 2 weeks meeting my roommate last year, I honestly thought it wasn't going to work out. Me being me, I was very loud and outgoing. And my roommate was actually very soft-spoken. He only spoke maybe 5 times in the first 2 weeks we were rooming together. So I didn't really think it was going to work. But, you know, like Mr. Keel's saying, like you learn to live with someone and you learn to know what the other person like kind of accepts and wants, and some things that they don't like that you do, and vice versa. And you know, me and Cooper ended up becoming closest friends, and we kind of rebounded off each other. And like I said, he became one of my best friends. So I have to give Mr. Keel and Mr. Beck a pat on the back because they really do a good job putting your room like guys together. And roommates. So
We try our best, but I thank you all. So at this point, there's probably one other question. It was more of a logistical question, and I do want to actually have the boys answer it, and it's kind of the transportation to and from breaks. And the reason why I want to ask it is that I know that we have some day students, obviously, but we have some folks that live both domestically and internationally here as well. So if you boys don't mind talking a little bit about what travel is like, kind of more of a logistic getting to and from campus from breaks.
So I'm from Montreal, and my parents are not really crossing the border right now. So what I do is I take the bus to Albany, and I get a teacher to come get me every time. Most of the time it's Miss Gill, my the best advisor at the school. Sorry, Mr. Taylor. But no, definitely always there's always an option here. I could take the train. I know Mr. Mead is more than welcome to come get me. I know there's a lot of people that are trying to help me. I also have friends here that are from Montreal that I'm trying to get rides from. So it's here. It's really easy. You're gonna find a way to come here. It's not a problem. Really not a problem. Definitely not.
Go ahead, Micah. Yeah.
For me, so I live in Lagos, Nigeria. So every time there's a holiday, I always go back to Nigeria. And anytime I need some sort of transportation to go to the airport, I always go to Mr. Collins. The other international students here who also live thousands of miles away that also goes to the airport. So Mr. Collins usually gets all of us to come together, and he gets a ride for all of us, and we usually split the cost. So it's great. So we do that there, and we do that coming back as well. So, and even when sometimes I go to the city to see my aunt who lives in the city, like I said, there's a train like just 10-minute walk away from school that I always go down if I ever need it.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead. I was gonna pass that to you, Mr.
No,
Collins.
perfect. Thank you. Let me try my volume so it doesn't reverb too much. So I try to set up all the transportation for students on travel days. For students who are traveling through New York City airports, we do use a car service, and those bills are directly billed to their student account, so the kids don't have to pay them up front. There's also a little bit of a discount with that too as well. And we try to get shared rides. So I build a giant spreadsheet with all their flights and times and arrivals, and try to pair them up for shared rides to split costs. We also have faculty who will drive to Westchester Airport, and we will pick up, and a lot of our domestic students will fly into Westchester, and then Trinity-Pawling will pick them up in our blue buses and bring them back. So, and that's also for departing for vacations, the same thing, and the Poughkeepsie train and local places like that. So we work really hard to try to accommodate students who live a far distance away and make that transportation piece a little simpler.
Great, thank you. Well, I do want to say a big thank you. You all may have heard the bells ringing in the background for our boys to head to study hall. I'm sure they're more than happy to hang out here on the webinar, but we do want to make sure they can manage their time appropriately and get to study hall and get their work done. So individually, I do thank you, John, Ben, Raf, Cristobal, Emeka, and Jalen. Thank you very much for joining us. A big thank you to Mr. Collins, Mr. Keel, and of course to our head of school, Mr. Taylor, and Mr. Hoffman there. Sorry, you got lost in the shuffle there. But thank you all very much for joining us, sharing your insights. We hope this was helpful for you all. Please know that if you submitted a question that we did not get to, our admissions office will be in touch with you to help answer that question. If there are other questions that you think of, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. For those of you that can get to our revisit day on Tuesday, we have a wonderful plan for you all, an exciting day. You'll get to see a number of the boys that are here again. But without further ado, we do really thank you all for joining us. Our next Pride Perspective is on May 16th, and that will be the State of the School featuring our head of school, Mr. Taylor, and the president of the board, Eric Olstein. So that is not to be missed, especially for those newly enrolled students, where they'll be recapping a little bit about this year, but also looking forward to the next year academically. So we do hope you join us as a student at Trinity-Pawling and join our pride and join the brotherhood that the boys here talked about a lot today. So thank you all again, and congratulations to those folks that admitted. Thank you.